Yeah! Get up!
All right, we got the G310. Oh, 310. Feels like a lawnmower.
Ready?
Yep. Sounds like a lawnmower too. Oh. All right. So we've got the BMW G310R. Now, my wife, I'm hoping to get into riding, and this would be, I think, a great starter bike for her. Mostly because it's a sub 500 cc engine displacement. I guess a little bit of history on this bike. This is BMW's first foray into the sub 500 category. And what I like about this bike is that even though it's a sub 500, already I can feel that it's got a nice amount of power, but that power is feels very linear to me. I don't know where the blinker's showing that it's on. There it is. Nope. So the throttle lets out a little bit late. And again, this is a sportier feeling bike, but and this guy's really let loose here. This is kind of nice, but it's a sportier feeling bike. I got my knees tucked up. If you wanted a more upright and a less sporty, smaller displacement bike, you can look at the BMW, the same thing, the 310, but the GS. What you're going to get is you're going to have a little bit more room between your foot pegs and the seat. It's a little bit higher off the ground because you've got a greater travel on the shocks, and you're also going to have that funky looking beak fairing on the front, which I'm not a big fan of. But again, what I like about this bike is, though, even though it's a sportier feel for someone like my wife who hasn't ridden before. If this was to be her first bike, it's very linear, meaning when off of the line, I don't feel a big jerk, and that's I think that's a really big point of emphasis for someone who's just learning how to ride, is that there's not that big jerk off the line. Even when I give it a good pull on the throttle, I don't feel a big jerk, and that's huge, especially for someone not just new to riding, but also my wife, who I think that would intimidate her if there was a little bit too much, low end torque that's gonna make her feel like that front wheel is gonna come off the ground or something when she starts. So this is not only their first time into the sub 500 cc displacement engines, but this bike is also the first bike that they've built outside of Germany. It's designed in Germany, but it's actually built in India. And I can't remember the name. I'll put it up here on the screen if that's something that you care about. But I haven't ridden a whole lot of sport bikes, but again, not only if you were looking to get into riding, but also if you'd like to get into sport bikes, this is a really comfortable ride. And again, like I said, if it's something that you're just getting into, this is going to be a really comfortable ride as well. I don't feel a lot of pressure in my wrists here when I'm riding from leaning forward too much, even though it does have a sportier feel. Nice, buddy. I don't feel like these controls, which I guess would be considered rear controls because they're not up here, they're a little bit further back, but I wouldn't call these like 100% rear controls either. But my wife, who has a little bit shorter legs, she's going to enjoy that you can hug the tank a little bit here, because I think that it helps in the confidence and the turns to be able to hug the tank a little bit. At least that's what I'm taught in motorcycle safety class. But it's really this is going to be an excellent bike for a starter bike. I'm going to tell you that right now. It's going to be a little bit more expensive than if you were to go out and buy like a Honda or a Yamaha, you know, cruiser in as far as small displacement sport bikes in Honda and Yamaha and Suzuki. But this bike is really comfortable. Yeah, he definitely belongs in front of me. So this bike too, and I'm not sure, again, I can't speak for the other brands, but 6 gears on a small displacement bike, that's kind of fun. I mean, you're not gonna, again, because this bike is so much smaller in displacement, the motor's not that powerful. You know, you're not gonna be racing this thing around, but it's nice to have one more shift, you know what I mean, once you get into the higher speeds, to get one more shift out of it. Yeah, that guy needed to be in front of me. He does not need to be behind this little 310. But again, all around, as a starter bike, I remember my first bike was I believe it was a 600cc engine on the Yamaha Radian. And this feels, as far as power, a lot like that bike. Yeah, see, I'm giving this a full rock back on the throttle. And very confident in the handling here, even though this bike is small and it only weighs about 350 pounds. I don't feel like this bike is, you know, I don't feel like it's gonna lift off the ground or anything. And you know, being a smaller, yeah, see, I'm a little bit worried here because there's a cop here, and we're going a little fast there, but it's a demo ride. It's actually a very comfortable ride as far as the suspension goes too, so I'm actually a little bit surprised that it doesn't feel a little bit more rigid when you ride. This is a very comfortable ride. And see, we're hitting those bumps. So of course this is a BMW, so you would expect a more comfortable ride, but this is definitely one of those things where you are getting a 310cc bike, but you are also getting a BMW, which means you're getting quality. You're also getting a really sophisticated LCD screen here for you know, an entry-level bike. I think that's pretty cool. You've got a lot of different things to look at here, and it's not too complicated. You've got the time, you've got the RPM, you've got the speedometer, you've got your gas gauge, and you also got the gear, and it's all very clear here on this gauge. You've got standard controls up here. You've got the power on and off, and then the ignition switch here on the right, and on the left you've got low beams, high beams, and your turn signals, and then a horn. So not a lot going on here. But still, it's a BMW. This bike starts at under $5,000. I'm trying to figure out how I can toggle. There's no toggle on the on this gauge, I don't think. So you can flash people with this little trigger here on the front with your brights. But here we go, we're gonna get on the freeway. We've already been at freeway speeds a little bit on these bikes, but we're gonna really open it up here, I have a feeling. I'm not sure. Yeah, you see, he's gonna give us a little bit of room behind that guy in front of us so we can open this up. Not necessarily for me, again, like I said, because we're not gonna end up going very fast and very fast in a hurry. I knew that was gonna happen. That's all right. But yeah, no, this bike is perfect, and we're at 83 miles an hour here. We're up in the 8,000 RPM range. So, I mean, this is a 310cc motorcycle, so you can't expect too much out of it. But this is a very comfortable, you know, now that we're down here into the more realistic, like 74, 75 mile an hour range. It doesn't really feel or sound like the bike is working extremely hard. Again, when we get up here to catch up with these guys into the 8,000 RPM range, the bike is working pretty hard. But again, if you're riding a bike like this, I'm guessing that you're not going to be super comfortable in these high mile per hour ranges anyway. So nice brakes here too. The other nice thing about the G3 310 series is that they come with standard ABS, and I think that's pretty huge. I mean, especially we were talking about an entry-level bike and getting ABS brakes. I'm not exactly sure how that goes with other brands, but that's pretty awesome. Especially because if you're talking about someone who's going to be on an entry-level bike here, that you know, safety is going to be a big issue. And we're gonna have to cut in on these people on the right. But here we're coming to the end here of this ride. I hope that this was helpful for anybody who might be considering the BMW G 310 series as a first bike. So guys, I hope you like this video. If you do, hit the thumbs up down there, and if you're so inclined, hit the subscribe button. Also, I'll throw up some links right here so you guys can check out some of my other videos if you're so inclined. Guys, if you're riding, be safe, and if you're not riding, get riding. This is that one guy, and I am out.